You've achieved your career, built the life, handled the responsibilities, but lately you've been questioning everything. Not in a crazy panic type of way, but more like a quiet whisper that just won't go away. Maybe it's your career path, maybe it's your marriage, your health, your relationship with God. You can't quite name what it is, but something inside you knows that your life as it is right now either isn't sustainable for the future or it's no longer what you want. And listen, everyone around you will call this a midlife crisis. They tell you to be grateful for what you have, and they'd say that you're overthinking things. But here's what I know: this isn't a crisis. A crisis is an emergency that requires you to put out fires right now, the way that you do everything else in your life. But what you're feeling, that's not a fire to be put out, it's a flame to fan. What you're feeling are the signals of a life transition taking place. And the woman that you are right now needs to have an emotional transition to become that woman that you've always wanted to be. I'm Davina Dandridge, author, professor, and emotional empowerment strategist. This is Brains and Baubles Live, where we talk about sophisticated empowerment, strategic living, and the refined emotional mastery that helps accomplish women make decisions that they'll be happy about in 5 years from now. Today, we're talking about the emotional evolution, not midlife crisis, evolution. Because there's a difference between reacting to an emergency and strategically transitioning into the woman that you've always wanted to be. Let me give you the foundation for everything we're going to talk about today. Your emotions impact your thinking impacts your behavior, and your behavior creates your environment. That's the sequence: emotions, thinking, behavior, environment. So when your emotions are telling you that something needs to change, it's not panic. It's not being ungrateful. It's information. Your emotions know before your brain does that your current environment no longer fits the woman that you're becoming. Right now, you're keeping private the questions you haven't said out loud to anyone. Not your husband, not your best friend, not even yourself in the mirror. You're thinking, I don't know if I want to do this job for the next 20 years. You're also saying to yourself, my marriage is fine, but is fine enough? You're thinking, I'm healthy, but I'm not really taking care of myself the way that I know that I should. You're also saying, I pray, but I don't feel connected to God the way that I used to. And the worst part of all, you're saying to yourself, what if I've wasted time building a life that I don't even want anymore? Listen, that thought alone will make you spiral out of control because you are accomplished. You're a woman in leadership. You are senior level in your career. You don't get to just wake up one day and say, never mind, I want something different. You have responsibilities. You have people counting on you, and you have a reputation to protect. So let yourself be grateful, and you tell yourself that other people have it worse than I do. You say to yourself, I don't want to be dramatic. And then you go right back to doing the thing that you've always done, even though your emotions are telling you that something has to change. But here's the truth: you're not being selfish, and you're not having a midlife crisis. You're experiencing an emotional evolution, and evolution requires transition. The problem is, no one taught you how to transition strategically when you have built this wonderful life or this packaged life. You know what research on women in midlife crisis shows? That this period of questioning is actually a developmental milestone, and it's not a crisis, because women between 40 and 60 report the highest levels of life evaluation and identity reassessment. And it's not always because something is wrong with them or that there is a major issue in their life at that time. It's because they've reached a point where they have self awareness, and they have enough self awareness to ask, Is this the life that I want? And that question alone is not a red flag, it's actually wisdom. This transition needs to be strategic to protect not only what you've built, but also protect your emotions. You can't just blow up your life because you're feeling some kind of way about where you are right now. You have to identify what transition your emotions are telling you that you need. And that's exactly what we're building today. So let's reframe this right now. A crisis is an emergency. It requires immediate attention. It's reactive, it's chaotic, and it's all about survival. But evolution is strategic. It's planned, it's protective, and it's all about who you're becoming. When you label what you're feeling as a crisis, you treat it like a fire to be put out. You panic, you make decisions from fear, you either blow everything up or you suppress everything down. Neither one of those options serves your future self. But when you recognize this as an evolution, you treat it like a transition. You get clear, you get strategic, you protect what you've built while you move toward what you're becoming. Listen, the woman that you're evolving into has been inside you all along. You've just been so busy managing everyone else's needs and meeting everyone else's expectations that you forgot to ask yourself what you want, what your future looks like, what your desires are. And here's what makes this even harder for accomplished women like you. You've been rewarded your entire life for being dependable, consistent, and steady. People trust you because you don't change course, you don't flip out, you don't make impulsive decisions. So when you start questioning whether your current life still fits, it feels like you're betraying everyone who depends on you. But I'm telling you that you're not. You're honoring the woman that you are becoming. Philippians 3:13-14 says, Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press toward the mark for the price of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. You have something that you should be reaching for. What this scripture is telling you is that moving forward requires you to let go of what's behind. And you don't dishonor it, you don't dismiss it, but you recognize that the past is of no consequence to who you're becoming. You can honor the life that you've built and still want something different for your future. Those two things can both be true. God isn't asking you to stay stuck in a version of yourself that you've outgrown. He's calling you forward toward the mark, toward the prize, toward the woman he created you to be. And that calling is not crisis, it's purpose. So, how do you actually navigate this transition? How do you evaluate what needs to change without destroying what you've built? You use the bling concept, not just for decisions, but for life design. This is the framework that I teach in my book, Brains and Baubles Do What Works for You. But today we're applying it specifically to life transitions because the bling concept helps you evaluate what you believe your transition is and whether this is the right time to make the moves. Let me walk you through it. B, believe the transition is necessary. This first step is belief, not faith, not hope, belief. You have to believe that this transition is not you being ungrateful or selfish. It's you being strategic. You have to believe that wanting something different for your future doesn't mean you're betraying your past. So you ask yourself, do I believe this transition is necessary? Or am I reacting to a bad week, a hard season, or someone else's opinion of my life? If this feeling has been consistent for months, it shows up when you're alone and quiet. If it's still there, even when everything else is fine, then yes, this transition is necessary. L, learn what this transition actually is. Now you have to get specific. What actually is calling for change? Is it your career, your marriage, your health, your relationship with God, your friendships, your environment? You can't transition everything at once. That's not being strategic. That's chaotic. So you have to learn where the real discomfort is coming from. You ask yourself, what area in my life is not connecting with the woman that I'm becoming? Where do I feel the most resistance? And where am I pretending to be satisfied when I'm not? And being honest with yourself, not dramatic. Be really honest. Maybe it's not that you want to leave your marriage. Maybe it's that you want deeper intimacy and you haven't asked for it. Maybe it's not that you hate your job. Maybe that it's you've outgrown the role that you're in and you need a challenge. Learn the truth, not the story that you've been telling yourself just to keep the peace. I investigate if this is the right time and what moves are required. Just because a transition is necessary doesn't mean it's time to execute right now. You have to investigate timing and strategy. Ask yourself, what would this transition require? What would I have to do? What would I have to give up? What do I have to build? And is this the season to do it? Maybe the transition is necessary, but the timing isn't right yet. Maybe you need to build a financial cushion first. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your husband first. Maybe you need to develop a new skill first. And maybe you just need to pray and wait for clarity. Strategy protects what you've built. Don't just leap just because you're uncomfortable. Investigate the path forward. Negotiate with yourself first, then with the people that are going to be impacted by this transition. This is where most women skip ahead and mess everything up. They negotiate with everyone else before they negotiate with themselves. You have to negotiate with yourself first. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do to compromise? What do you feel that needs to be fulfilled first? And what can you live without? Once you're clear on your own terms, then you can bring the conversation to your husband or to your team, your family, whoever is going to be impacted by this transition. But if you negotiate with them first, you'll end up compromising before you even know what you want. And that's how you stay stuck. Give yourself permission to start small. Listen, you don't have to burn everything down to honor this transition. You can start small with micro habits, small shifts, tiny moves that signal to yourself and the people around you that you're prioritizing yourself and your future. Maybe you start with prayer every morning. Maybe you start with gratitude journaling to see where God has brought you so you can trust where He's taking you. Maybe you start visualizing your future self and asking, what does she need? And what does she need that I don't have right now? Maybe you shift one thing in your environment, rearrange your office, change your morning routine, or set a boundary with your time. Something small that says, I'm paying attention to what I need. You give yourself permission to evolve without drama, without chaos, and without destruction. Let me give you an example of what this looks like in real life. Let's say you are senior level in a corporate role. You've been in your position for 8 years, you're good at it, you're respected, you're well compensated, but lately you've been thinking, I don't know if I want to do this for the next 15 years until retirement. That thought won't go away. It's not tied to a bad project or a difficult boss. It's deeper than that. You're questioning whether this career path still aligns with who you're becoming. So you walk through bling. B, believe. Okay, so yes, this transition is necessary. It's not burnout. This is evolution. I've grown out of this role. I need to explore what's next. Okay. L, learn. What exactly is the problem? Is it the work itself? Is it the company culture, the lack of growth? After some honest reflection, you recognize that it's not the work, it's that you've stopped learning. You're operating on autopilot. You want to be challenged again. I investigate. What would it take to get challenged again? Do you need a new role within the same company? Do you need to leave? Do you need to start something on the side? You investigate your options, you talk to your mentor, you research lateral moves, you even explore entrepreneurship. You realize, though, that you could transition internally to a strategy role that would stretch you without requiring you to leave the security of your current company. Then negotiate. First, you need to negotiate with yourself. Are you willing to take on a new challenge that might require more hours in the beginning? Are you willing to advocate for yourself, to ask for what you want? If the answer is yes, then you negotiate with your leadership. You position it strategically. You show them how this move benefits the company and not just you. G, give. Give yourself permission. You can start small. You don't quit your job tomorrow. You start having conversations. You build relationships with people in the strategy department. You start reading about the work that they do. You shift your mindset from I'm stuck to I'm preparing for my next move. That's strategic evolution, not crisis, not chaos, evolution. So let's talk about the foundation you need to navigate any life transition. These are the micro habits that protect your emotions, help you plan, and get the people close to you accustomed to you prioritizing yourself. Start your day with prayer, not just God bless my day. Prayer that asks, God, reveal to me what transition is calling me. Show me where I'm resisting my own evolution. Give me clarity about the woman that I'm becoming. Prayer positions you to hear that still small voice inside you that really knows the truth. Write down three things that you're grateful for every morning. It's not toxic positivity. This is strategic remembrance. When you see where God has brought you, you build trust for where He's taking you. Gratitude keeps you grounded while you're transitioning. It reminds you that you're not ungrateful, you're evolving. Spend time seeing your future self, not in a vague manifestation kind of way, in a specific strategic way. What does she do in the morning? How does she spend her time? What does her environment look like? Who is she surrounded by? What does she prioritize? When you can see her clearly, you can start making decisions today that align with who she is. Make small changes in your environment that signal to yourself and other people that you are prioritizing yourself. Maybe you stop answering work emails after 7 o'clock. Maybe you start going to the gym 3 times a week. Maybe you set up a space in your home just for you. These small shifts train the people around you to respect your boundaries, and they train you to value your own needs. So here's what this looks like when you do it right. When you treat this as an evolution instead of a crisis, you show up with clarity. You know what you want. You know what you're willing to do to get it, and you're not reacting, you're planning. You protect what you've built, your relationships don't fall apart, your career doesn't implode, and your reputation stays intact. You transition strategically and you're not being destructive. You honor your emotions and you stop suppressing what you're feeling. You start using it as information and stop pretending to be satisfied when you're really not. You start asking for what you need and become the woman you've always wanted to be, not in some distant, way off future, but right now, one small decision at a time, one conversation at a time, and you're setting up one boundary at a time. And people who love you, they don't lose you in this process. They get the most alive, most fulfilled, most authentic version of you because you stopped performing and started evolving. And this isn't a crisis. I want you to remember that. This is your emotional evolution and it's right on time. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, Davina, I need support for actually doing this work, I understand that. This transition isn't something to navigate alone. First, grab the emotional sophistication map. It takes 5 minutes. It helps you identify exactly where you are emotionally, what transition your emotions are actually calling for, and what specific steps you need to take next. It gives you a personalized roadmap. You can access it right here in the description. If you need real time strategic support, Sophie is here. I created Sophie specifically for women like you. She's not generic AI advice. She's a sophisticated, elegant, professional level emotional strategist built entirely on my proprietary frameworks, the self gut check method and the bling concept. Sophie helps you walk through the bling process for any life transition. She helps you identify where your emotions are calling and whether it's the right time and what moves you need to make. She's available whenever you need her. Before a difficult conversation, she's there. When you're questioning a major transition or decision, she's there. Sophie is unique. She's designed for accomplished women who value discretion, depth, and real emotional empowerment. You can access her through the link in the description. If you want one on one support, I offer refinement sessions. These are premium consultations where I identify exactly what transition your emotions are calling for, create your personalized strategy, and help you build the life for the woman that you are becoming and what she deserves. These sessions are for women ready to stop pretending everything is fine and start building what's right. Spots are limited, link in the description. Here's what I want you to remember. This isn't a crisis. This is emotional evolution, an evolution that requires a strategy, not an emergency response. Your emotions are giving you information. They're telling you that your current environment no longer fits the woman that you're becoming. That's not being ungrateful, that's growth. When you walk through the bling concept, believe the transition is necessary. Learn what the transition actually is, investigate timing and strategy, negotiate with yourself first, give yourself permission to start small. You navigate this transition strategically. You protect what you've built while moving toward what you're becoming. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Guard your heart. Stay connected to who you are because everything flows from that place. Your future doesn't require you to abandon your past, it requires you to honor your evolution. You're not having a breakdown or a crisis, you're having a breakthrough. Fan the flames of what you desire, identify the transitions your emotions are calling for, and walk through it with confidence that you're not in crisis, you're in evolution. If this video resonated with you, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Brains and Baubles Live so you don't miss the next conversation. Grab the emotional sophistication map and start navigating your transition strategically. I'm Davina Dandridge. This is Brains and Baubles Live. I'll see you in the next one.